Hello everyone, and welcome to Turkish Spotlight Secrets, the channel where we peel away the noise and tell one complete story from first spark to final echo. If you enjoy deep, respectful breakdowns, hit like, subscribe, and tap join so you never miss an episode. Today's video is about Yaman, not just the star on posters and billboards, but the person who has built an uncommon bridge to his audience and is now asking whether that bridge needs guardrails. For years, Can's calling card was radical accessibility. On sets in Istanbul, at signings in Rome, at charity events in Madrid, he made time, unhurried selfies, patient smiles, brief conversations that felt longer than the schedule allowed. Publicists may have preferred an extra layer of glass, he preferred eye contact. In an era of curated distance, that choice made him singular, and it also made him vulnerable. Let's rewind to the foundation of that bond. From his earliest television roles to the international tours that followed, Can treated lineups not as obstacles but as opportunities. The crew would urge him toward the next obligation, and he would insist on staying a few minutes more, knowing full well that a few minutes multiplied by a crowd becomes an hour. He accepted the trade because he believed connection is part of the job, not an optional accessory. That belief turned fans into a community, and a community into momentum. But momentum brings weather, and every bright light casts a shadow. The first rumble, according to people who were there, came during a late-night arrival at Istanbul airport a couple of years ago. Cameras clustered, questions overlapped, and a corridor narrowed by tripods funneled him into a moving wall of curiosity. Full-length footage later showed him choosing silence over soundbite, hands open, shoulders squared, making space where there wasn't any. The next day's headlines called it irritation. The complete video looked more like self-preservation. Still, something shifted. A note of caution crept into an otherwise fearless score. Months later, a gala in the old quarters of Karakoy turned caution into a real conversation. Organizers had planned a modest carpet and a tight barrier, the typical choreography for a high-profile entrance. Can arrived early, he often does, hoping to speak to the fans waiting behind the rope. What happened next wasn't malicious, it was momentum. A pocket of the crowd swayed forward, the rope bowed, and a cluster of hands reached out together. A bracelet snapped, a sleeve was tugged, a photo album spilled across the pavement like a paper waterfall. Security responded quickly. Can steadied himself, gathered the fallen photos, and handed the album back. He went inside and delivered a warm, multilingual acceptance speech like nothing had happened. But afterwards, in the decompressed quiet of a green room, he reportedly said very little. The shock wasn't the touch, it was the realization that love without limits can look and feel like pressure. In the days that followed, the story grew legs. Clips ricocheted across platforms. Comment sections filled with support, advice, worry, and the occasional accusation aimed at everyone and no one. Can did not go on a talk show. He did not schedule a press conference. Instead, he posted a single image at dawn, the Bosphorus in grayscale, captioned with a line that read like a sigh, "Clarity needs quiet." Silence can feel like abandonment to a devoted audience, so the vacuum filled fast. Some outlets speculated about an extended hiatus. Others framed the moment as a wake-up call for event security. Meanwhile, European promoters confirmed that upcoming appearances connected to a new series would proceed, with adjusted logistics. Meet and greets would become seated, timed, and smaller. Last-second pop-ups would give way to planned rooms with clear entry and exit. Not because closeness was unimportant, but because closeness without a plan becomes chaos, and chaos helps no one. While the discourse swirled, one voice cut through with unusual clarity. Demet Özdemir, Can's co-star in an era-defining series, sat for an interview and offered a line that ricocheted for all the right reasons. "Affection must not turn into pressure," she said. "Artists and fans deserve spaces where warmth can exist without worry." It was not a defense or a critique. It was a boundary spoken as a blessing. When the swell of opinion reached a breaking point, Yaman chose to answer. Not through a platformed Q&A, but with a short open letter on his official accounts. No blame. No drama. He thanked those who show up with kindness. He acknowledged how hard it is to balance gratitude with well-being. And he proposed a pact: let's meet where safety lives. If we can protect calm, I will protect time. The line was simple enough to memorize, strong enough to matter. The community responded in kind. Fan clubs drafted respect guides for future events: avoid pushing, no sudden grabs, hold phones in one hand and expectations in the other, accept a wave when a photo isn't possible. Hashtags of support trended not because they were cleverly engineered, but because they were true. You could feel the difference: celebration without entitlement, enthusiasm without escalation. Behind that public reset were practical changes. Planners began mapping soft corridors at venues, pathways kept naturally wide by staff who look like ushers, not guards. Organizers shifted from free-for-all crushes to small group rotations where everyone gets a minute instead of a fight for 1 second. Security teams retrained around de-escalation, not intimidation. These details rarely make headlines, yet they determine whether an evening ends in joy or exhaustion. We should also talk about the person at the center of the storm, not just the brand. Those who know can describe routines built for steadiness: early workouts that ground him before the day's noise, language study that keeps his mind in motion, quiet meals that do not need a camera to validate them. He is learning, like many public figures, that saying fewer yes does not equal giving less love. It means giving the kind of presence that doesn't leave him emptied out. When he declines, it's to preserve the quality of the moments he accepts. Career-wise, the recalibration shows. A few promotional ideas involving uncontrolled crowds were paused. A couple of endorsements were declined because they prized virality over sense. A festival visit was reshaped into a moderated interview with pre-arranged photo time so no one had to sprint, shout, or shove. Producers grumbled in private about opportunity lost, then they watched the results: calmer talent, better photos, fewer near misses, and a mood that looked like something rare: respect in motion. There is a bigger conversation here, and it extends beyond one actor. For a decade, the industry rewarded the illusion of infinite access: every backstage doorway open, every handshake guaranteed, every weekend carved into meetups until the word rest sounded like laziness. Now, quietly, a different standard is emerging, one that treats mental health as infrastructure, not a luxury. The point is not to put stars behind walls. The point is to design bridges that can carry the weight of adoration without collapsing the person who has to stand on them. To be clear, none of this negates why fans fell in love with Yaman in the first place. He is still the man who signs a few extra posters because a teenager traveled a long way, who thanks the lighting technician before leaving a set, who learns the names of the people who open and close the doors he walks through. He is still the artist who treats generosity as a verb. What's changing is the container, not the content. So where does this story go next? According to people close to the situation, several appearances will proceed under the new guidelines. A potential stop in Madrid, another in Warsaw, and a handful of private charity events with limited guest lists and clear codes of conduct. If you're going, expect lines that move, staff who explain, and reminders that a wave can be as human as a hug. Expect moments that feel smaller and better. If you love his work, this is the part you can play: keep the comment sections kind, resist tagging family members who did not ask for the spotlight, and treat rumors like what they are: noise that steals oxygen from real conversations. Accept that sometimes your favorite public figure will step back to step forward well. Help build the culture you want to see when the person you admire faces a crowd. And to Can, if this video finds you, we hear the message. Protect the quiet you need to make the work we all enjoy. Keep the standard high. Keep the circle human. Your fans aren't asking for unlimited access, they're asking for the chance to cheer you on without hurting the very person they came to celebrate. That's our story tonight, a bridge being rebuilt in real time, not to keep people out, but to invite them in safely. If this deep dive gave you more light than heat, please like this video, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss an episode of Turkish Spotlight Secrets. Tell us in the comments, should the fan-artist relationship be redesigned for the modern world? What does respectful closeness look like to you? Thank you for watching. Take good care of yourselves, and goodbye.